Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
So we're just getting ready to move the Russell's Vipers to larger bins. And I came in the room and I sprayed the U-Plex down with Cavicide and grabbed this towel, and it was all folded up. So I started shaking it in the air to unfold it, because I only have two hands, I'm not an octopi. And all of a sudden, the forest cobra in Mr. Taipan just went freaking nuts like this, and all I was doing was shaking this towel. As you can see, it definitely has the waving the red flag in front of the bull thing. So it was just an interesting observation here at the lair. I know not to go flailing towels when I have the cage door open with those two. They're hungry. They're well nourished. They could go this week without food, and I just might do that. The female, for whatever reason, did not eat last week.
She seemed interested in the towel as well.
Well, these are Taipans, but Mr. Forest Cobra, that was a surprise. Well, you know, he's a bit twitchy on his on a normal day, but that was pretty funny. So, at any rate, we're really here to U-Plex the Russell's Vipers and hopefully safely get them downstairs without anybody getting hurt, including myself and Mrs. Did you eat? Did you eat, you little turd? I think you ate. It's about freaking time. But I'll have to check and make sure that Mr. Mouse is not still in there and is really in that little fat belly I see. These guys have been really weird and off feed recently. It's been really frightening because, you know, these were born here in January 2017, and they're of reproductive age, and he went over to mate with one of the females, and most of the females are off feed, and it's a little bit scary because, you know, I put heart and soul into these, and so did Mrs. Viperkeeper, and so it's a bit nice to see that the little poop head, so to speak, finally ate. So now to the business at hand. First of all, speaking of hands, we're very, very careful here with exposing ourselves to potential COVID-19. And I handled that when I brought in fresh live feeders that are in that box down there. And that box came from the pet store. So anything that comes from the outside normally gets disinfected before it goes in the house. But since it had live mice, and I don't think the snakes would like disinfected mice, I just isolated the mice in the bin there, which can be easily cleaned, and I wear protective gloves when I pull the mice out and toss them into individual cages and stuff. But I handled that when I had the gloves on, so I could have potentially contaminated the handles. So and that's why that one is being cleaned up, because I normally do not open cages with my fingers, although I did do that in the early stages of the Viperkeeper series. You know, I've noticed that these idiots that do stupid things get more views and more attention than me just trying to do venomous snake husbandry in a safe manner. So We're going to uplex these. They're going to go downstairs into some bigger bins because they're growing. So the way we do that is we hook it out. Notice that this is preventing that from coming out unless we really want it to come out. And now I will safely transport this Pakistani Russell's Viper downstairs to a larger bin where it can grow some more until I decide what bigger cage to put it in. Alright, so as we can see, Miss Russell's Viper here is not happy about being transported. It's already unhappy. So Russell's Vipers sometimes hook and sometimes shoot around the room like a balloon that you blew up and you let go of before you tied the end. So we don't know what's going to happen here. We will just hope that everything goes smoothly. Come on. Come on. Yes, I know. Come on. It's just like me taking you out to clean your cage. No difference, except you're going to get a different cage. There you go. Now, we always like to throw a little bit of familiarity in with them. So that's what we did there. And since these are very dangerous snakes, not that the death adders are not dangerous, but
They don't move around that much. The Russell's Vipers are all over the place all the time.
yes, they move about. You see them at the front. You see them moving around. So we will pin the cages this way. It's a little bit of an annoyance to have to pull the pins, but at least you know they can't sort of now force the cage forward to the point where they can get out, because snakes are absolute escape artists. We know that from our little male coral cobra friend. So now that she is in her new habitat, we'll put her stickers. I will also add a caution when entering sticker. I think I have a supply of them. You know the death adders? I mean, you can open the death adder cages and generally, ooh, that's nasty. That's a bit of poop. Generally, they don't come flying out at you. Russell's Vipers are not quite like that. So there's, you know, if you know that there's a death adder in there, you know not to use your fingers to open the drawer, but you know, doesn't necessarily need a caution when opening a sticker, because we already know that death adders are landmines. Unless you actually get really close to them, that's the only time that you're in real jeopardy. Alright, we're up for number 2 female. These two are males. If we remember from an earlier video, this is the male that shot out of there like a freaking rocket. So we're doing him last. So this one, oh, hi. Are you thinking you're going to get fed, huh? Is that what the deal is? No, we're not going to feed you just yet. But this is why we uplex, because
Yes.
we don't want them coming out prematurely, let's say. All right, downstairs we go. Really not a substitute for the small grab stick, which of course I hope I don't need to use. We'll try a slightly different tactic. No? You know something's up, huh? Snakes are not stupid animals like most non-reptile keepers think. They're quite smart and will outfox you, so to speak, if you're not paying attention. That's how I had my very unfortunate encounter with the black mamba. I didn't expect it to do what it did, and I ended up having to try out some South African polyvalent and make Mrs. Viperkeeper's hair a little bit more gray. So we'll just empty this out. Recycle these bins. I'm not sure right now if I have anybody who is actually going to go in the bins once they're cleaned. But this is the flow of things at the lair. Let me pull these labels off. I should really also put their date of birth on there. These have been taken off and put back on. I'm going to have to put some new labels or get some glue for the labels to make them stick better. Alright, let's go get the first male. Mr. Puffy is quite upset at us because we've been in and out of this room, and of course he hasn't been fed, and he just sort of huffed at us to let us know that he's expecting something to eat. And when I changed his water bowl a few minutes ago and put fresh water in, he was stalking that area, and I was like, dude, if you're unhappy now, you strike the substrate or water bowl, you're going to be really upset. He will get fed, just not just yet. So he's unhappy, and everybody thinks that they should get attention first. Well, since this is open, oh, I see you ate what I gave you earlier. You ate also. These are wild-caught Egyptian saw scales. I was going to breed them this year. Actually, I put the female in with our male up there, but she was like really unhappy and wanted out, so we didn't leave her in there. And yeah, we have the fresh shedding in this one. You know, I'm always complaining about how awful the females can be. Well, sometimes the males can be, I want to use that D word, but I don't want the YouTube censors to nail me. Alright, so we will try the same technique that we tried previously. That seemed to work. So we'll gently slide this back a little bit.
No, you're going the wrong way there.
And of course now he's going in the wrong direction. No, I'll just stay here now that, you know, and he's got reach, so I don't want to remove this, put my fat finger over the top there, because that's certainly a good way of getting bitten. And these we don't want to be bitten by.
Mm-hmm.
Lori and I were joking earlier that, you you know, with the COVID, now they're seeing people having strokes and heart attacks because of clots in their system. And I was like, nah, all right, I get COVID, I just let an echis bite me before I go to the hospital. I promise I won't have any clots. Okay, so that went fairly smoothly, which means that all hell is going to break loose on that little last one. Let me peg this one. You know, it's unfortunate. Lori's tried many, many times at taking these sheds, which retain the beautiful Russell's Viper pattern. Of course, you can't see it now because it's all twisted up, but you know, she's tried to make jewelry and stuff out of them, has just not been terribly successful, so these end up going in the garbage, unfortunately. It's too bad because they're really, really quite exquisite. Those and lots of other sheds that I have here. Some sheds are totally boring and I don't even think twice about dumping them in the garbage, but you know, the Russell's Vipers and some of the Bothrops and certainly the, you know, Bitis that we have in house.
The echis quite often.
The echis are quite beautiful also. You know, I like the I like those. I mean, I have bags full of sheds that I, you know, oh damn, someday somebody will figure out what to do with them.
Well, we had that one guy that was making some really nice stuff. He figured out some sort of technique, but
yes,
he's not doing it anymore.
But, you know, I think the reason why he's not doing it anymore is because the reptile community is notoriously cheap. They'll spend $1,500 on a, an albino something or another, but won't spend, you know, $50 on a beautiful, you know, viper skin replica phone case. So, you know, he made these beautiful, you know, art objects, and you know from your own personal experience that, you know, artists that do really beautiful things should get paid proportionally, you know, on what they do. And the reptile community is notoriously cheap, and I don't think he was able to stay in business just doing that. It's unfortunate.
Well, that is akin to when you were doing the very nice calendars. You know, with the snake photos, the problem was everybody's, oh, I'd buy one, and then when it came time to buy them, crickets.
Yes.
Nothing. Nobody, you know, I mean, a handful of people would buy them, and so stopped making them because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it costs us money to get them made.
Right, and I couldn't even sell enough of them to break even, so I stopped.
Yep. He's still looking hopeful.
Everybody is looking at me with laser beam eyes. Feed me, feed me, feed me. And yep, you will get fed, but it's, you know, other things need to take place at the lair other than cleaning. Well, you know, here's a beautiful shed. This is Mr. Puffadder. You know, I kept it here. I left it because it's just a little bit heartbreaking for me to throw such a beautiful shedding out.
A beautiful shed from an incredibly beautiful animal.
Yes, okay, he'd bite the snot out of you if you gave him the opportunity. However, he has some really good personality. Lori and I have lots of fun with him, you know, with his antics, his defensive posture, how funny he was earlier when he thought he was going to actually get fed, and now he's all pissed off because he didn't yet get fed. They all have their own distinct personalities, and that's what makes it fun to keep these guys. Yes, that's Lori's fingers, you see. That's nothing to bite. Okay, on to the last one. All right, we're on the last male Russell's Viper. And because he gave me such a hard time the last time, I am coming armed. Because he's already up here at the front of the cage, thinking that there's perhaps food in this for him, when actually it's just moving day, but he doesn't realize that. So what we do with this, since it has a nice tooth, we'll use this as a hook to get the cage started. And here is Mr. Russell's viper. Hi, dude. No, there's no food for you right now. And we have to be careful that we don't extend the opening of the euplex to the point where the head can come out. So we're just going to put that up there and carry him downstairs like this. This guy did not have a piece of cork, and the reason why we put a piece of cork in there is for them to bite. It's actually, you know, easier for them to sort of get their shedding started on a rough surface like that, because if they go along the walls, they'll have trouble. If they go into the substrate, they might get substrate mixed in with their shed. This allows them something that they can really get their shed started with. Now, I put this little monster at the top simply because I thought it would be easier to deal with him at the top, because I would know that his first thought would be to maybe come up on top rather than to plop onto the floor from down there. So we'll see what we can do here. Oh, we're going to go this direction now? Pick a direction. So if you want to go that way, and if you're going to be cooperative.
No, of course not.
You know, it's like, okay, well, head that direction, I'll open it, and you can just cruise on out. Now, come on. Well, let's see if he does it on his own. That would be very nice.
Of course not.
We'll give him a second. These are snakes. They're 63-million-year-old, very successful species that can't figure out how to find their food after they kill it. So maybe he'll be able to find his way out of the paper box here. Come on, dude. Nope.
No such luck.
All right. So he's not going.
Oh, yeah, now he knows.
And here we go. And this is why we brought these.
Oh, now he's really pissed.
Yes. Whoa. Your traditional huff and puff. He's predictable in this manner.
Yes.
He is just what we would call an asshole. I'm sorry. There's no other word for it. That is what he is. And that's how snakes get their names here. All right.
They can move fast when they want to.
Yes, so we're going to pin this. We're going to put his labels on, but I'll put his piece of cork in at some later time.
Yes, let him settle down a little bit.
And I'll leave this here for now. I may actually buy a second one for down here just because of him. He truly is a difficult character. I'm also gonna, I don't think I have plexiglass here, but it's not thick like this. It's gotta be at least a 1/4 inch thick to be a good Uplex. I've got some thin stuff here left over from the bottom of Elvis's cage.
Yeah,
that doesn't make a good Uplex.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a bigger piece of plexiglass that I can keep down here that is at least that width and the length of each tub. And this way I have a Uplex downstairs for these. You can also Uplex it just a little bit, just to reduce the opening enough so you can put water in a water dish. But for now, since he's in a very foul mood, we are not going to open that for a while. So let's empty this out. Let's treat this a little bit. You know, this is a sort of constant thing that we do here. It's not all fun and feeding and saying hello to Mr. Puffadder when he's in his strange moods. There's a lot of work that goes into keeping water dishes clean, them watered, them hydrated. You know, all those different things that take place behind the scenes. Occasionally we do the videos. I know a lot of you would just like to see videos of just feeding, but you know, this is all the normal stuff that goes on here. I should probably make him a special label with his name on it, just to remind us who's in there, because he truly is, and he's proved that twice now. I think he's really earned that title. So we're going to stop here.
We have more hungry customers looking hopeful.
Yes, Mr. Pointy Nose there.
Mr. Snooty, I call him. He likes to look down his pointed nose at us.
And we have our very small Brazilian lancehead down there, Miss Mood and I. Also, you know, I have her a bit on the diet. I gave her a regular size adult mouse, and it was a one bite deal for her. I'm not giving her a rat, which, you know, would take a few bites, but she doesn't need that much in the calorie zone. Hi, Mr. Pointy Nose.
Yeah, she looked quite disgusted when you gave her that little tiny mouse that basically was gone as soon as she, you know, took it into her mouth. It was like, what the heck kind of a joke is this?
Yes. Now, if we look up here, it's breeding season for Mr. Weasel, so he's really dirtied his glass. So.
Yes, he's been very busy smearing his nose on everything.
Yes, his schnoz.
Schnoz. Yes, Mr. Schnoz.
Because he's in Daboya, so he has the schnoz. Hi, Mr. Pointy Nose. Are you looking for something to eat? I think you had a rat last week, so you're going to get something small this week so you don't become like lard-ass down below you. Okay, so let's go on and do some other things while the Russell's Vipers sort of settle out a little bit.
Chill out. So long. Yes, you'll get your food in just a bit.